Oh, look, developers changed values, including reduction of the jump spin-up and cooldowns, and promised to put in universal cartographics? Well, why are we still here, Yamiks? Everything's great, right? Well, perchance, have you seen the movie Whiplash? So first things first, yes, developers so cagingly will implement universal cartographics after we also rightfully bullied them into doing this. While on the other hand, rest of the values and their reductions, well, they are kind of pointless, and I'll talk about that when we get to number 1. But because the 2 out of the 3 things from my last top 3 are now acceptably changing for the next beta, there are more things that need to change. So here goes another dead horse beating list. Woo! Every single one of these things in the list are part of the same gameplay loop the developers have implemented, and under no circumstances should we all accept any simple value reduction. As a matter of fact, every single one of these should be removed. If we go soft, we already lost, much like in the middle of the porn shoot, so don't be the early flopper Johnny. Remember, fleet carriers are still bad. Do not let these massively reduced values fool you. Be smart, ask questions, and analyze. So here we go. Number 3, the decommissioning depreciation. Yes, my friends, fleet carriers are like cars now. The longer you have them, the less worth it they become once you try to sell them. As it stands, the fleet carrier's value drops as low as 33% if you keep it over 3 months. That's not even a Jaguar level of horrifying loss of value. A loss of 3.4 billion in the first 3 months is absolutely unacceptable, if you really needed that value comparison. But even without the actual values, be that 1 credit, 10 credits, 1 million or whatnot else, think, what is the depreciation feature actually meant to do? Why would you reduce the selling value of the biggest investment in the whole game? Because the carriers are so massive and they need to be reused for the next person, clearly. And also I'm a genius, yes. Right. So that right there is a lore excuse of a gameplay issue. No, that's not how it works. If you're trying this stupid maneuver, try again. It'd be like saying, oh, because there's a character X in a game, all of a sudden you need to start docking by barrel rolling and touching your nose in real life. That's idiotic, clearly. No gameplay value or reason to do so. Now, if you look at the game design and ask the question, what is this feature meant to accomplish and make the player do, you'll get the answer. For depreciation, it's simple. Sunk cost. Because the investment is so massive, the bigger the loss, if you sell it, the less likely it is to be sold. Simple as that. This feature is so simple and sinister that frankly I'm surprised that David Braben and every other developer working on Elite is not a mustache-twirling villain. So basically, the longer you end up keeping the carrier, the more of a reason it becomes not to sell it. So let's call this the roadblock number 1 to get out of the game loop, and I'll get back to that. But nevertheless, it has to be removed. And instead of that, just like normal ships, about 15% loss once you sell it. A simple, flat amount. Number 2. The next up again we have decommissioning. Oh my, we can't seem to get rid of it, huh? Well, to be more specific, there is this another part to selling your fleet carriers that is basically like a fine print in a contract that only people who read the contract will know. And even then, the contract does not specify how much or how the money will be taken from your pocket. So you can't even make an informed decision if you read it. It's a truly disgusting, donkey way of implementing a game feature in a game that is made for entertainment. Presumably. Anyways, this is the line. This value is further reduced by the carrier's distance from the nearest carrier construction dock. So basically this tells you nothing, it only warns you that money will be taken. But developers, and I suspect this is intentional, have not told you any information on how it's going to be calculated. Because otherwise, why would you buy it in the first place? That's how malicious fleet carriers are designed to be. This is intentional. But TheYamiks, fleet carriers need to be taken and flown back to the selling starport by someone, right? So that's why there's a penalty. You dumb motherfucker. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid and think. What did I say about not excusing gameplay feature with lore narrative? Are you that kind of stupid that you also think that NPCs walk, talk, grieve, and love in a fucking game? Okay, you need an example. Right, here you go. Does that change the value of either cube? No! So this distance penalty I'll call a mafioso-style warning. You see, you better do what I tell you, otherwise I'll take your cash. I mean, it's your choice, Slick. Your choice, no pressure. The reason you lose extra money when you're outside of the place that sells these things is simple. Developers, again, encourage you to do very annoying things, not to lose whatever little cash you have left. This again leads to player just rethinking if selling this big investment is worth the hassle, and it becomes the second roadblock to selling and getting out of this stupid relationship. Man, now that I reread the script, developers really look like mustachioed villains and mafiosos. Oh, and I just realized that I didn't even tell you the numbers I discovered. So now even without them it's disgusting, but hey, here's an extra. So you lose 1 million per light year, at least in beta. So technically you don't even get to go outside of the sector that Sol is in before you lose all the potential refund. It's just despicable. So safe to say, this stupid thing, this distance penalty, must go completely. Number 1, and of course, here comes the main issue of the fleet carriers, the upkeep. It still exists. But like a psychotic doctor with a coat hanger in Tijuana, we must carry out this miscarriage with malice.
But TheYamiks, they reduced the upkeep cost 80%! What more do you want? Now you can actually keep up! Really, is 20 million a week that bad?
I don't care. I don't care if it's 1, 10, 20 or 1 million credits. This is not about the cost. Even though it can be used as a secondary malicious device, the point of the upkeep is to have a ticking clock on your carrier. Now, because there is this ever-increasing loss potential thanks to the previously mentioned decommissioning penalties, you risk at losing everything eventually. Everything from that 5 billion or more that you've spent on it. So, is the upkeep such a large amount that you just can't do it? It's such a small and innocent value, right? Anyone can do it, right? Well, those from the places of privilege will tell everyone that. I've seen it. But it's not only about the fact that it goads you into this abusive relationship where better you pay up a little or risk losing so much, but because there is also this massive investment and threat to it. Your brain will subconsciously remind you to keep at least some account of what's going on. You better make sure, safe than sorry, so you better log in. And no, not to play or enjoy the game. You log in just to check if your shit's still there. Fuck, do I want to slap the person who designed this abusive game loop in the face? It poses absolutely no positives to you as the player. It drives no interesting or good gameplay. It's only there to abuse you. And you know what? I don't play games to be manipulated and abused like this. Games, for me, are not like real life. For that shit, I got my real life. I don't need the game to make it twice as much. And sure, you can get out of this abusive loop. But remember those roadblocks that I mentioned? Yeah, they're there to prevent that. So, upkeep. No matter how low it goes or what it's changed into, it must go fully. Oh, and I actually had one of my lovely patrons message me the other day, and so he was asking, well, what if I bought a skin for it, for the carrier, because I like it so much, and, decide to go play other games for a little while, or binge drink, or whatever, and then return to the game after months, and I get a message from developers saying that, we took away your fleet carrier that you spent money because of. I mean, doesn't that sound already pretty bad? Just because you didn't log in every week or every so often just to inflate their stupid spreadsheets, you essentially get penalized after playing this long? And more so, spending money on cosmetics as well? And not everyone's gonna have money to rebuy it after they lose it for the first time. These are the questions that developers must have discussed and didn't really care for, which does make you think, doesn't it? So I ask unto you, my viewer, don't accept this fakery of just decreased numbers and whatnot else. Sure, they may look good on paper, but in reality they mean nothing. As long as this gameplay loop of gun-to-head threatening and constant rent are in game, there will be no rest or enjoyment. Fleet carriers could have been, and still can, be a decent feature for the big carrot at the end of the long stick for people who can actually reach it. But what we have right now, because of these three things, is nothing but a constant kick in the nuts and taking of our money, or in this case more of time. A waste of time indeed. I urge everyone to look past the charade of these designs and analyze them. More importantly, push back and push hard. We must not allow horrible gameplay to take root. Be that on forums, Reddit, anywhere. Just make sure to spread the word. And maybe this video if you're so inclined to. That would be awesome. So do let me know what you think of the list down below. I sure do find it interesting to read them, even if I don't get to reply on all of them. Oh, and hey, if you find this video agreeable and you want to support my efforts in making content, well, subscribe, why not? Or perhaps, if you want to support a little bit more, there is Patreon link down below. But as for now, I wish you all the best of luck. We must push back and let the devs know we want to have fun and engaging game and gameplay, not punishment for not logging in.